Hey everyone, this is Miguel with SoCal Watch Reviews. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you so much for all the new subs and all the success on my last video, kind of going over my core collection. Today we're going to switch things up. We're going to be looking at this D1 Milano. They call it the Blue Automatico. So D1 Milano was actually founded in Milan in 2013, and if you've been on Instagram, I'm sure you've seen them. They look very familiar. They have this AP Royal Oak Patek Nautilus kind of look to them with the integrated bracelet. And when I checked out the prices, I was like, dang, $745. These watches better deliver and be good. But I just kind of never reached out to them, and I was fortunate enough that they actually reached out to me. I was like, yeah, I'll check one out. So full transparency, this watch was sent into the channel. I get to keep it, but of course I'm gonna give you my full thoughts and transparency. I don't believe in burning bridges, but when truth needs to be told, I say it. So with that said, let's go over some of the specs of this watch. The full watch with the bracelet is constructed of 316L stainless steel. The case measures in at 41.5 millimeters. Lug to lug is 49.5 millimeters, but when you measure from the outer lug where it kind of folds in, whether it's on the rubber bracelet or on the steel bracelet, it's actually 53.8 millimeters, so almost 54 millimeters. That is actually very big, right? The thickness on it's not thick at all. It's 9.8 millimeters. Water resistance 50 millimeters, and it has a sapphire crystal with AR coating. One of the things that really kind of stood out to me when I took it out of the box was the case finishing. I was like, whoa, okay. I've seen a Tissot PRX in the metal several times, but this, I gotta say, honestly, has better finishing on it. Has a mix of brushing and polishing. And as you can see with that case, it kind of resembles a Nautilus. It's cool how that polishing kind of plays with some of the brushing on the side, and you can tell that a lot of money and a lot of time was actually spent on machining this case. Maybe not so much the design, of course, because it takes design inspiration from other watches, but yeah, no, honestly, the finishing is kind of what blew me away a little bit. At the 3 o'clock, we do find a screw down crown. It measures in 5.4 millimeters. It's actually pretty easy to engage with, and it's actually not round. It's squared, so it has an interesting shape to it and an interesting feel when screwing it in, screwing it out. On the case back, we do see a display case back. I'm not sure if this is sapphire, but I believe it is, and it has a screwed in case back with screws. Actually, not screwed in, but it utilizes screws to put it in. Cool. I mean, we'll talk about the movement, why I think they could have gone with a closed case back. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Let me move on to the bracelet. The metal bracelet has this hidden butterfly clasp. Very clever, but honestly a little hard to open. Nonetheless, the bracelet is actually finished very well. It does say D1 Milano at the clasp, right as where you open it. One of the things I don't like is that they actually use pins to size the bracelet, but overall, again, the finishing on this guy is done very well. It's kind of this brushed kind of finish, but it plays with the light very well, as most integrated kind of bracelets do. But honestly, you can tell that this was well designed, well finished, and it feels very supple. There's no sharp edges when in the tactile feel of it, and yeah, it actually feels very, very well on the wrist. And one of the cool things that you can do, or I don't know if they did this just for me because I'm YouTube and I was reviewing this, but I actually asked for the rubber strap because I'm like, you know what, let me try that out. So they did send the rubber strap. It feels like it feels pretty supple. I'm not 100% sure if it's FKM. I don't believe it is, and it was relatively easy to put it on and take off the other bracelet because the case does have drill lugs, so it utilizes this long screw. You need 2 screwdrivers to take it, put it on, take it off, and I actually prefer it on the rubber strap. And the rubber strap does have this nice buckle that's been brushed, and it has the company logo, so I personally preferred on the rubber. I don't believe they sell a watch on their website that's automatic on the rubber. I believe they all have the bracelet, the stainless steel bracelet. Now the dial, Very beautiful dial. This particular version has this sunray blue with the date window at the 3 o'clock. Very simple. D1 Milano at the 12, and at the 6 it just says Automatico, so automatic, and I believe that's Italian. I speak Spanish, so to me Automatico is in Spanish as well. But anyway, very clean, very kind of minimalistic dial. You do see those indices pop because they are fully polished. We see printed numerals in between the applied indices, and the hands are very simple. Now, something that kind of threw me off a little bit, the hands, as you can see, have a little bit of white in it. So I'm like, oh cool, it must have some lume. And I hit it with my black light, and to my surprise, it does not have lume. So I was like, oh, okay, all right, never mind. But the dial nonetheless is beautiful, and most of the light, when it's kind of dark, it looks like this really kind of deep blue. It's dark blue, but when the light hits it, of course, you get these really cool effects of that sun ray kind of finish. Very cool. I personally like this. I know they have different colors, but I thought this was really cool. I really like it. I would have liked to see obviously some texturing, kind of like the Tissot PRX and some other watches, but I mean they opted to go for this kind of plain looking dial. But nonetheless, it's very nice. Now, movement. I believe it's using a pretty good movement. Miyota 9015. So what, 42-hour power reserve, -10 plus 30 seconds per day. It beats at 28,800 beats per hour, 24 joules, and the height of this rotor is 3.9 millimeters. So of course, that's how they're able to give us that height of the overall watch of 9.8 millimeters. And yeah, the obviously the movement, you can wind it, you can hack it. One of the main things that I don't like, especially because maybe it has a display case back, is the rotor noise. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Yeah, it's a little loud. Also on the back, they did engrave the rotor with D1 Milano Automatico. It's pretty simple. They didn't make any holes or any cool designs. But yeah, with that said, I mean, overall, we'll go over some of the cons and some of the pros. But overall, the watch itself is pretty nice. I like it. Not for me because it's a little big. I have a 6 7/8 inch wrist. So as you can see, it's what, 17.43 centimeters. It's a little big for me. But yeah, let's go over some of the cons, some of the pros. So the cons for me, number one, I gotta say it's the price. It's $745. I mean, the Tissot PRX automatic is $650. Obviously, that watch has some heritage, and I believe it holds its value a little bit more. But nonetheless, I mean, this watch, it is different enough, and it does feel like quality, right? It feels good enough on the wrist, on hand. But yeah, the price for me, it's a little too much. Big, okay, how big it is to me, obviously we covered already that from lug to lug is what, 49.5 millimeters, but obviously it doesn't fall on the wrist until it surpasses the case because of the lugs. And for me, 53 millimeters or anything above that is a little too much. Now, the butterfly clasp is difficult to open. That's another con for me. No lume. I'm a lume junkie, so no lume is kind of a, I don't know, not that great for me. Display case back, it's cool, but I mean, the rotor is not really decorated, so kind of seeing this movement is not the prettiest, if I'm being honest. Now, seeing kind of like a Salida movement, that was kind of nice. But this Miyota 9000 series, I mean, they could have done a better job if they were going to do a display case back. And lastly, for the cons, the 50-meter water resistance. I know 50 meters is enough. I'm not a diver, but I mean, it does have a screw down crown. It is a sports watch, right? So 100 meters would have been cool. But let's move on to some of the pros. Great finishing. Honestly, I've seen the Tissot PRX. I've held it, and in my opinion, this is a little better. Honestly, the case is a little better finish. It has different facets, and it folds and it bends, and it plays with the light a little better. The dial is beautiful. Honestly, the dial on this thing is gorgeous when the light hits it. Reliable movement, of course. Miyota 9015, we all know it, we all love it. It's very serviceable, easy to operate, so why not, right? It has a good movement. And lastly, I would say Patek AP vibes, and it's not a one-to-one copy. So you look at it and it kind of gives you the vibes, but it's not a direct homage, if I'm being honest. So it's different enough for me that it kind of passes those check marks, right? You don't look directly like an homage kind of check mark. So I like that. Now, let me know. I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit. I did order a Tissot PRX with a green dial, the Automatic, and it's showing up pretty soon. I would be interested to put these two together to see how they both kind of compare. I know the Tissot is kind of well loved by the community. And I think this is a true competitor to the Tissot. I know a lot of people don't want to have the same watch everybody else in the community has, and the Tissot PRX is a darling of the community. So this D1 Milano, I think, is different enough that I think it would give you some kudos from the community, and it looks different enough that that I think it could stand on its own. But I know sizing and pricing are probably going to be the main issues with any competition. But anyway, let me know what you think or thought about this video. Subscribe to the channel. We just hit 7,000 subscribers, actually passed it a little bit. I appreciate that. Follow me on Instagram, SoCal Watch Reviews. Let's keep doing the thing, and hope everybody's blessed in 2023. Thank you so much for the support. Take care, and as always, my friends, stay humble.